Welcome back to the show. Now, the Ministry of Home Affairs, Immigration, Safety and Security will be celebrating the International ID Day tomorrow, the 16th of September. And with more details on the significance of this day, I am now joined in studio by that is the Deputy Executive Director for Civil Registration, Mr. Jackson Wandjiva, as well as Festus Abiatar, who's the Control Administration Officer from the Ministry. Gentlemen, it's really nice having you in studio. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Are you well?
Yes, we are well, and thank you for having us.
Fantastic. Well, quite interesting, hey? ID Day tomorrow. I think, Mr. Wandjiva, if you can first take the first question for us, in terms of, how Home Affairs is the civil registration part. How's that going?
As the mandated ministry to handle civil registration and identity management, the Ministry of Home Affairs I would say it's doing really well when it comes to civil registration, which is by definition the continuous, permanent, and compulsory process of recording vital events such as births, deaths, marriages, divorces, adoptions. Yeah, we have been putting in place programs that will ensure a wide coverage in terms of civil registration and identity management. With civil registration recently, we can mention some successes in terms of both civil registration and identity management. When it comes to, we had the mass registration that happened last year in 2024, yielding quite good results. We also recently held a mobile registration program targeting San people because during the mass registration that took place last year, it was identified that people from this community could not meet certain requirements. So the minister issued a directive for the relaxation of some requirements when it comes to the San community. And we also, in terms of to really address some of the day-to-day challenges facing us in the process, the ministry also engaged to some robust legal reforms, which resulted in the passing of 3 laws last year, which is the Civil Registration and Identity Act of 2024, the Marriage Act of 2024, and the regularization of certain residents of Namibia, of the status of certain residents of Namibia, their residents and spouses, foreign spouses, also of 2024, just to assist us in terms of addressing some of these challenges when it comes to civil registration. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot happening, a lot of great stuff happening at the ministry. Mr. Abiatar, if we speak about the International ID Day, right, what significance is this day? What significance does this day hold for Namibia?
Well, thank you, Nicole, and thank you really for this opportunity and platform that you gave us to speak to the public about identity as we are gearing to commemorate the International Identity Day tomorrow. So International ID Day, which is celebrated on September 16th, highlights the importance of legal identity for all, in line with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 16.9. Now, for Namibia, it underscores our efforts to ensure universal access to legal identity for everyone. And really for this day, as we commemorate it, it's a time for us as a nation to reflect on our legal identity, especially to assess it in terms of the 3 main fundamentals or 3 pillars of legal identity. That is inclusion, protection, and empowerment. So we need to ask ourselves, how is our legal identity doing in terms of those 3 pillars? So firstly, when we talk of inclusion, we ask ourselves, how is, whether our legal identity is covering everyone? And if it does not cover everyone, how can we reach out to those ones who don't have it so that we can bring them on board and make sure that everyone is covered and no one is invisible? Yeah. And then for the second pillar, which is protection, once you have your legal identity, how does it protect your data? Does it protect your privacy? And does it also secure you from identity theft? And then lastly, for empowerment, once you have your legal identity, it shouldn't just be an identity for the sake of identity, but it should empower you as a person. Does it give you access to benefits? Does it give you access to services to make your life easy on a day-to-day basis? So essentially, ID Day is really significant for Namibia, and as we commemorate it tomorrow, we should reflect on these matters.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. You know, Mr. Wandjiva, I think if there's one thing we know is that the ministry, in terms of technology, the ministry really tries to, you know, implement a lot of, you know, ways to make our lives easier, you know, when it comes to applying for various documentation or just, you know, like I said, just enhancing the process. But I need to ask, in what ways would you say has technology improved the ID registration or the production process, for instance?
Yeah, we have it's our processes are. I hope you have visited Home Affairs recently.
Well,
they are smooth.
Yes.
We did what's known as the turnaround strategy, and making our turnaround time shorter.
Fast. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you apply for an ID, if you are in Windhoek, you can get an ID. Is it 4 days? If longer, 3 days, yes. You have it. So in terms of technology, we are doing very well. If somebody applies in Utapi, from Windhoek, we can really trace and track the process of the application.
All right. Thank you so much.
But also, maybe just to add to that, just to say that we have really moved from the previous manual processes and to automated processes, so which makes accountability and traceability much easier. So. And we have also linked the registration, remember, to the notification of birth from hospitals, so that we can immediately be notified of a child that is born in the hospital. And when it comes to birth registration, then the process will move on smoothly. So all the processes are automated, and it makes work much easier. Yes.
Fantastic. Now, again, would you say many Namibians apply to get their documents, especially IDs, especially if we backtrack 10 years ago? What are those numbers looking like now?
Yeah, no, there's quite a good. It's better now. It's higher
progress.
We experience high turnout at our offices and mobile when we are out with mobile outreaches. Also, when we do for expos, the turnaround is quite good. And when you look at for example, if we look at like Wandjiva recently, they just ended trade fair. We recorded 2,500 people that came to our stand to apply for various documents, including birth, ID, with ID being the majority of applications. If you look at the census, housing and population census that just ended, also the 2003, we stand at 85.3 coverage in terms of ID registration. So it's
making some good strides there. I think we've got every reason to celebrate tomorrow. Eh?
Indeed.
Mr. Abiatar, you know, for those who might not be aware, you know, especially the process of acquiring an ID, losing an ID, what happens? What happens then if I wanted to reapply, for instance?
Oh, well, Nicole, the process of acquiring an ID is very simple and straightforward. We issue 3 types of identity cards at the ministry. That is the blue ID for Namibian citizens. There's a pink ID for non-Namibians with permanent residence in Namibia. And then there's a green ID for refugees. Now for the refugees, the applications are basically only done at the Osire refugee camp, and all the verification for eligibility are done there. So let me just focus on the blue and pink IDs. And for the blue and pink IDs, applications can be submitted at any of our 14 regional offices and any other sub-regional offices that take ID applications. The requirements are very simple. The first one is just that the applicant must have turned 16 years of age by the time they are submitting their application. And the second requirement is that they need to have the original source document plus a certified copy of that document. And when we talk of source document, we mean a birth certificate for a Namibian citizen who was born in Namibia, citizenship certificate for a Namibian citizen who was born outside of Namibia. And then for non-Namibians, they need to have their permanent residence permit. And remember that issuance of the first ID is free of charge. And for duplicates, there is a fee that is charged starting from 150 Namibian dollars for the first duplicate.
Okay.
And then from there, it increases by 150 for every duplicate that you apply. So that means for the second duplicate, you'll be required to pay 300 Namibian dollars. And it increases by 150 until the fifth duplicate. From the fifth duplicate, you continue paying 750 Namibian dollars. Yes. Okay. So the process is really like that. Once you apply, then you can just wait for your ID to be produced. You will get an SMS notification that your ID card is ready for collection. Yeah. Then you can collect it from the office where you applied it, or you can go, if you have moved, you can go to any nearest Home Affairs office, and then they just request for it to be transferred to that office.
Fantastic, fantastic. Mr. Wandjiva, you know, we were talking about the strides that we're making in so many areas at the ministry. Let's talk about some challenges that you know, the team experiences there, if there are any, especially as we talk about, you know, acquiring identification.
Yeah, yes, Nicole, the process of acquiring an ID is, as Festus just indicated, it's quite a smooth process, because for one to come for an ID, to apply for an ID, you already have the foundational documents like birth certificate, maybe a permanent resident permit and so forth. It's easy, but there are still challenges, especially when it comes to identity theft. If somebody is over the age of 16, qualifies for an ID, but that person does not come forth to apply, sits with a birth certificate which can land in the hands of somebody else who would then use that birth certificate to apply for an ID. And when the rightful owner eventually decides to come and apply for an ID, we will be able to tell and show that this certificate was already used for. So it's basically some of those few things, but because by the time we detect it, it's late for that person. And for us to resolve that, it has to go to court, and those things is a lengthy process. Yeah, but apart from that, the process itself is smooth. Yeah,
and that's quite an important point, Nicole, what Mr. Wandjiva says, that you need to apply for your ID as soon as you turn 16. Yeah. Yes, because the longer you delay, you give an opportunity to the second person who doesn't qualify for ID to steal your birth certificate and come to Home Affairs to apply. And it's a challenge at that point, because when you come to apply for an ID, we have no proper way of verifying that you are the owner of the birth certificate, because we don't have your fingerprints, we don't have your picture. So we are just urging the public to make sure that as soon as the person turns 16, they must come and apply for their ID so that they can secure that identity. And even if someone steals their birth certificate, they won't be able to use it anymore, because we will now detect it that it has already been used to obtain an ID.
Right, right.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that, gentlemen. Now, what we also know is that some Namibians are not collecting their ID cards. That is a fact. How's the ministry resolving this?
Yeah, that has been a persistent challenge to the ministry. We are trying our best to sensitize the public, to inform them that we have their ID cards ready for collection, and they need to come collect them. We collaborate with different stakeholders like the regional councillors, the schools, to try to locate these people. So people can even actually just approach their constituency offices and submit their proof of registration, and then we can take their IDs to the councillor's office. But what we also try to do is that now when we go out for outreach registration, especially at schools, once the ID cards are ready, we make sure that we take those IDs to those schools and issue them to the owners so they don't pile up in the office. But we really have a lot of IDs. We have just learned recently that we have over 62,000 uncollected IDs printed as of
62,000.
Yes, printed as of April
this year,
last year,
up
to September this year. So that's quite a lot of IDs that are still just lying in the offices.
That definitely is. Right, I quickly want to touch before I do let you go.
Yes, and the other one is one just adding to what Festus said on the strategy of trying to see how we can really get rid of these IDs. One is we do ID registration at schools. One way would also be for us to take those IDs back to the schools where we did the actual registration. Because if we sit with them waiting for the students to come, 50% of that will not be collected. But it's actually a multi-pronged process strategy that we are putting in place to ensure that these IDs leave our shelves.
Yeah, most definitely. I want to touch on tomorrow before I do let you go. How are we celebrating? How's the ministry celebrating International ID Day tomorrow?
Yes, we are going to be at UN Plaza.
UN Plaza.
We are in collaboration with some for stakeholders, including UNDP, especially UNDP. The program is quite interesting, very nicely packed. Entertainment, awareness of the importance on the importance of the ID. We are really urging people to join us at UN Plaza tomorrow to celebrate and commemorate this important day, this important asset that we have, legal identity.
Right.
Yes, and indeed, also as part of the commemoration, we are also continuing on our public engagement and awareness on the upcoming electronic ID that is going to be introduced next year. So if you have been part of the unconference last year, remember that we are again continuing with this public engagement as we commemorate ID Day tomorrow.
In fact, this year, June.
Yeah, it was this year, June, sorry. Yes.
Thank you, Festus.
Right. Thank you also. Can we just, tomorrow we noted you in Plaza. What time do we start officially?
We will start arriving there at 8:30. And the actual program is that?
I think it's starting at around
9.
10.
Yeah.
10.
Yeah.
Okay, so as early as 8:30.
But we'll announce.
Yes. Okay. So they just need to keep their Namibians just have to keep their eyes on your social media pages or call if they have any information if they need it.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much for being here. All the best tomorrow. We're looking forward to some good outcomes there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nicole.
All right.